Well, now, it's been a while. Seems like just yesterday we were watching Hank Hill sell propane and propane accessories. The world has spun around a few times since then. I tell you what. We left Arlen, Texas back in 2010, a simpler time in many ways. King of the Hill was always about the small stuff. A family, a neighborhood, and a town trying to make sense of things. It found humor in the everyday, the mundane, the little battles we all fight. The show didn't need flashy gimmicks or loud jokes to get a laugh. It was a snapshot of a certain kind of American life at the turn of the century. We watched Hank try to understand his son Bobby, and Peggy try to be the best at everything, even if she wasn't. Friends drank beer in an alley and talked about their lives. It resonated because it felt real. Now, here we are in 2025. The world's a different place. Bringing King of the Hill back isn't about redoing the old stuff. Life moves on, and so do the people in Arlen. The fun is figuring out where these characters would be today. How has the modern world treated Hank Hill? How has Bobby grown up? We wanted to stay true to the heart of the show while acknowledging that time doesn't stand still. The clash between old-school values and new-school thinking is everywhere you look. That's the sweet spot for King of the Hill, finding humor and humanity in that struggle. It's good to be back in Arlen. There's still a lot to talk about in that alley. Hank Hill always defined himself by his work. For over 2 decades, he was the assistant manager at Strickland Propane. Propane wasn't just a gas to Hank, it was a symbol of integrity and good sense. So what happens when a man like that retires? He doesn't just sit on the porch and whittle. Retirement for Hank is just another job to do perfectly. The revival finds Hank officially retired, but he can't sit still. His garage is more organized than ever, every tool in its place. He's fixing things that aren't broken, optimizing the sprinkler system and teaching new neighbors how to trim hedges. He even volunteers at Strickland, offering advice to the younger generation, whether they want it or not. A big part of Hank and Peggy's recent story is their time spent in Saudi Arabia, consulting on a propane operation. That experience broadened Hank's horizons, just a little. He came back with new stories and a new perspective on being a good neighbor. Now, Hank's a grandfather, trying to pass on his values to a new generation. He's still the moral compass of the family, but retirement has softened him a bit. More time with Peggy, more time to worry about Bobby. The world might be changing, but Hank Hill is still the bedrock of Rainy Street. He's just got to figure out what to do with all this free time. Peggy Hill has always been a woman of boundless confidence and ambition. In her mind, she was a genius, a Spanish-language virtuoso, and a substitute teacher of the year. Retirement was never going to be quiet for Peggy. Like Hank, she's retired from teaching, but her thirst for new experiences is stronger than ever. Their time in Saudi Arabia was a revelation. Peggy dove into the culture, tried to learn Arabic, and made friends. Back in Arlen, she started a blog about her travels and teaches cooking classes that fuse Texan and Middle Eastern cuisine. She's more opinionated than ever, armed with anecdotes from abroad. With both of them retired, Peggy and Hank spend more time together, rediscovering each other, sometimes clashing, always a team. Peggy encourages Hank to try new things, while Hank keeps her ambitions grounded. Peggy is determined to make their golden years the most exciting chapter yet. That boy ain't right. Hank said it for years, but Bobby always marched to his own beat. He wasn't into sports or fixing things, but he had a passion for comedy, theater, and food. In the revival, Bobby's in his late 20s and finally found his calling. He's a chef. Not just a cook, but a genuine culinary artist at a trendy Arlen restaurant. He's known for fusion dishes, combining Texas barbecue with unexpected flavors. Bobby's more mature and focused, but still has his unique sense of humor. For the first time, Hank sees a tangible, respectable skill in his son. Cooking is a craft, something Hank can respect, even if he doesn't get the $50 brisket. There's a new level of mutual respect between them. Bobby lives on his own, but is always at his parents' house, raiding the fridge and seeking advice. He's navigating adult life, dating, bills, a demanding head chef. He brings new problems to the alley, to the amusement of Bill, Dale, and Boomhauer. Bobby's journey into adulthood is central to the new series. He's proof that even if a boy ain't right, he can still turn out all right. He just needed to find the right kitchen, and maybe a little help from his family. The alley behind Rainy Street was always the heart of the show. Hank, Bill, Dale, and Boomhauer. 4 friends, 4 perspectives, 1 community. Dalegribble is now a full-blown internet conspiracy theorist with a podcast and YouTube channel. He finds conspiracies in everything, from smart fridges to gluten-free bread. Nancy's still a news anchor, and their marriage is as strangely functional as ever. Bill Dotterive is still cutting hair at the army base, but he's found new community online, support groups, forums, even competitive eating. He's tried online dating with predictably disastrous results. The guys still look out for him, making sure he doesn't fall too deep into despair. Boomhauer? Still cool, still a Texas Ranger, still the smoothest talker in Arlen. He navigates modern dating apps with ease, often explaining them to a confused Hank. The alley is still their sanctuary, a place to lean on a fence, crack open a beer, and try to make sense of a complicated world. The world's changed, but their friendship hasn't. They're older, maybe wiser, but still the same guys at heart. The alley remains the place where Arlen's soul lives. Yep. Arlen, Texas was always more than just a setting. It was a character. In the revival, Arlen has changed. There's a trendy restaurant, a yoga studio, and $5 lattes. The Megalo Mart has self-checkout lanes, which Hank views with suspicion. Bike lanes and new neighbors bring new stories and conflicts. Young tech workers and artists are moving in, clashing with Arlen's old guard. Hank gets into disputes over community gardens. Peggy tries to outculture the newcomers. The show explores how a community holds onto its identity while adapting. But for all the changes, the soul of Arlen remains. People still wave on the street, high school football is still king, and the alley is still the best place for a beer. Arlen is evolving but hasn't lost its core character. It's still the Arlen we know and love, just with more Wi-Fi and avocado toast. King of the Hill always thrived on the generation gap, especially between Hank and Bobby. In the revival, that gap is now a digital divide. Hank doesn't get social media or smartphones. He's baffled by online banking and voice assistants. Peggy tries to embrace the digital age, but her influencer dreams often backfire. Bobby, a digital native, is now the family's tech support. This shift changes the family dynamic. Bobby's the expert, Hank and Peggy are the students. The show finds new humor in their attempts to bridge the technological chasm. It's a new chapter in the Hill's ongoing quest to understand each other. The digital world is just another frontier for the Hill family to navigate, awkwardly but together. The heart of King of the Hill has always been the Hill family. The revival dives into how they've evolved now that the nest is empty. Hank and Bobby's relationship has grown. Hank finally sees his own work ethic in Bobby's dedication as a chef. They talk as adults with mutual respect, even if they come from different worlds. Peggy is still Bobby's biggest cheerleader, showing up at his restaurant and telling everyone he's a genius. The dynamic between Hank and Peggy has entered a new phase. Retirement means more time together, more bickering, but also deeper intimacy. They're learning to share space, balancing routine and adventure. The love and frustration are still there, just with new layers. The Hills are partners, facing the final third of their lives together. They rely on each other as they navigate aging, changing friendships, and a world that looks very different from the one they started in. In a world of loud, fast-paced TV, King of the Hill's return is a breath of fresh, clean, burning air. Its appeal lies in subtlety, warmth, and finding humor in everyday life. The show's return is timely. Its themes are more potent than ever. King of the Hill offers a different path: decency, understanding, and holding on to your values without losing your humanity. The revival continues the show's legacy of gentle satire, poking fun at both the old and the new. It doesn't pick a side, it just observes the funny ways people try to navigate the world. Ultimately, it's about family, community, and the struggle to adapt. The world of 2025 is different, but the challenge of being a good person hasn't changed. That's why we still need the Hill family. They remind us that even when the world spins out of control, you can always find your footing on a well-manicured lawn in a quiet Texas town.